finish one after the other one, which give you an overview of the certification programs, where we are now and what we, in terms of the review committee, what we are supposed in the future to evaluate in terms of skills by the certified people. So the situation we have the reviewer certification that has been active for 2 years. Actually, the first you have there is a trick on this side. Actually, the first certified developers are going to expire in a month. So we will have the first set of renewal of certified developers. Just leave that open, otherwise it's become dark, too dark. We will start and announce migration and training certification during the month of September, to start from October the 1st. And for 6 months, certification will be open only to TDF members. The reason is that with TDF members we have a more consolidated relationship, and having a more consolidated relationship with TDF members, we can use these 6 months to improve the process, because TDF process is slightly or very much different from the usual certification. It depends on how you see that. The examination is not the typical examination of certification programs. It's a peer-to-peer review. So we have a group of reviewers that are people that have already been active in those fields for a number of years. They are members of the community. They have been members of the community for a long time. They have experience in migration and trainings, so they can evaluate how a candidate is good in that specific domain. The idea is not to certify everyone, is to certify people that is really skilled in that field or has potential. In some cases we will have people that is quite young, has not been active for a long time, but we know from his activity, or we understand by reviewing him, that he has potential for the future. So that is an interest of the project to certify someone that has potential for improving. And of course, we want to certify people that have been active and have been recognized for their activities in migrations and trainings. We start with TDF members again because the relationship with them allows us to test the review, the peer-to-peer review. Actually, there's no certification program, neither from open source project nor from proprietary software project, to be based on a peer-to-peer review. So we have tried to design it in a way that guarantees TDF from errors in certification, because you can the problem is that you certify someone that is not good enough. A certified person becomes a kind of ambassador of your project, because the certification gives him a recognition, and he sells his services to the market, to someone that is either wants to do a migration or wants to be trained, and he fails. That would be, of course, a problem, because it would affect the awareness of the certification program. So what we want to avoid at first is avoid failures. Avoid people that get certification, but it's not good enough to be certified. So at first we will be, I would say, more severe than expected. But if we are severe with TDF members, we have a chance to explain them why we expect them to apply again if they fail or if they don't go through the examination. I think that the relationship is good enough to tell them that they will have to apply in 3 months' time. Actually, for instance, if you look at certification in other open source projects like Alfresco and like Puppet Labs, if you fail certification for them, you can apply for certification again. You can sustain the examination again in 48 hours, so after 2 days. For us, it will be 3 months. So if you fail certification for TDF, you cannot go through the peer-to-peer review again before 3 months, because we think that if you fail, you have to review your skills and preparation, and 48 hours are not enough. So it's a logical amount of time to review your skills is 3 months. That gives you a chance to go through all the documents and to talk with someone and get a better preparation. Together with the board of directors, we have appointed a number of reviewers. These are people that come from different areas of the project, and either they have been with TDF and with OpenOffice before for a long time, or they have been active in very successful migration project in the last 2 years. And of course, as we want to promote certification when it will be open to the public, and it will be open to the public starting from April 2015, so after 6 months, we will prepare some marketing materials because we want to use certification to attract people to the project because they see a reason to create a business around their contribution to LibreOffice. So developer certification is active since October 2012. It is a peer-to-peer review process, of course, being based on the code that you push to the source code. It's easier in a sense that the peer review happens on actual contributions, which are visible. So the decision of having a peer-to-peer review was based on the fact that this kind of peer-to-peer review was successful, but of course it's different to peer review the code. Means that you peer review something visible. To peer review skills like training skills or migration skills is kind of reviewing the untouchable. So the process that we have built is a little bit more complex. Let's say that becoming a certified developers is probably easier if you have continuity in your contribution than becoming a migration or a trained or a certified trainer. Simply because the topic that you are covering is not as visible or not as touchable or not as possible to evaluate as code contributions. Code contributions is visible. Let's say that you can almost touch a code contribution. If it works, means that it's something that is positive. Coordinating a migration project, you know that you are being good at doing that only at the end of the migration project, not in between. So it's a lot more difficult to evaluate. We will evaluate that on a number of variables, but it's going to be more complicated. But I think that our project has been up to very difficult task. So I think that having this kind of certification which is kind of unique. By the way, Linux Foundation has announced certification in Chicago 2 weeks ago, and their certification is basically identical to TDF certification, with the difference that their review is a kind of peer-to-peer review, but being based on being targeted to Linux sysadmin, a Linux engineer. Again, is a peer-to-peer review that happens on something that you can touch. So they have a 2 hours review that is done on a console. So the other guy will look at what the candidate is doing on his console to either administer a Linux server or to do kind of changes or configuration of a Linux system. Of course, it's targeted to the server side, while we are mostly targeted to the desktop side, which is a different story. Anyway, the developer certification has been very smooth so far. 42 certified developers. I would say every 4 months there is a new number of developers that are certified, and this is handled by the engineering steering committee. So it's kind of external to the certification project, in a sense that this is handled by developers for developers. A little bit of migration and training had a more complicated a higher number of documents and a little bit more complicated. So on the website, and all the people that are in the review committee that have reviewed that, or have at least received, there will be these documents, prerequisite document that will explain to people which are the requisites to be certified. You have to be active in the project, you have to be active in a migration project, you have to be active in a training project. I've received, being the main reference for certification during the last 2 years, I've received emails from every kind of organization worldwide. People say, so I want to become certified by TDF because, you know, I have a certification from Cisco to Microsoft to everything, and I want another one. And the answer in this case is very simple. Are you active? No. Then you will not be certified. It is not a medal. It's a recognition of something that you have done. Something that you have done properly, and shows that either you are a real professional with experience or you are a professional with potential. These are the two figures that I see as certified. Either you are already experienced, Lothar, there. He has handled migration project with his company in Germany. He knows how to do that. He's a reviewer, of course. So he has not to explain again how to do that. So either is someone like Lothar that is less known inside the project, and I'm mentioning Lothar just because he's in front of me, but there are other people, of course, Sophie Gauthier, that have handled projects, so they have been recognized for that. So they don't have to explain again, because they've managed that, they've managed the process, they've seen the exceptions, they've seen the obstacles, they've overcome the obstacles. That is what I would call a professional. Of course, a professional can do mistakes. We are humans. But the fact is that by recognizing the profession, you reduce the risk of mistakes from companies that hire the services of a professional. Of course, the professional will have the experience. The other possibility is someone that has just followed one project, but during that project has shown a high potential. these two guys there. They are Italian. They've been involved in the migration of Regione Umbria, which has been extremely successful. So they can, Marina is actually certified, she's a reviewer again, but she's, as I said, is the most technical guy inside the Italian project. And sorry for the guy, but but Alfredo is just out of the university, but he has been instrumental for the Libre Umbria migration. So we cannot say that he has a lot of experience, but he has shown that he has a huge potential. So, and he's saved enough to understand when there is a problem, and when there is a problem to search for help within the project, which is what we want from certified people. You cannot know everything about every problem with LibreOffice. It's such a huge program. So you may have an issue, let's say, with RTF compatibility, just by chance. We have quite a large number of issues in Italy with RTF compatibility. But if you get an issue, and Lothar, I imagine that you have, and of course, if you have an issue with RTF compatibility, what we expect is that you, within the project, you start to ask for help to others that may have a similar problem, and in a way that either together we solve the problem, or you are inspired for a workaround by someone that has already found a workaround for that problem. So we don't want people that goes around and invents solutions. We want people that looks into the project to find solutions. We are a community, and we should never forget that we are a community, and therefore for people that are already inside the community, of course, this is not a problem. They already know how to leverage the community. For people that is outside the community, we have to teach them how to leverage the community. People that comes out after 6 months and says, oh, you know, I could not deploy LibreOffice because there was a problem. I think that the answer that we have to give these guys is do not wait 6 months to address the problem with the community, because the community can help you. Maybe, I mean, there might be chances that the community is not able to help you because you are the first to stumble into a problem. But there are chances that the community or someone within the community can help you because you have a similar problem in other markets. And someone has solved the problem, let's say, on the Italian version of LibreOffice, but maybe that workaround may work on the German version, on the French version, on any other version. So we have to teach people, to educate people to become part of the community. We cannot be like a proprietary project where there is competition, or let's say commercial competition between certified people. They try to steal customers from each other, because that is the way this project works. We have a community, so we expect competition on the market, but collaboration within the project. So you help each other because you know that this time is your turn to help you, but next time you will help me in solving the problem. And this is fundamental, because if we don't get over this education step, we will be mimicking Microsoft Office certification without having Microsoft Office commercial power. So the certification is not going to work. We have to do something that is within our chances, within our possibilities. Then there is the certification agreement and a certification policies document. These are documents that actually give a frame of rules that regulate the relationship between the certified guy and TDF. Of course, the agreement says that as a certified person, you cannot represent TDF officially. You can only say that you are certified by TDF, but you don't become a TDF representative, because you are certified. Of course, this was not in originally as a document, but going and studying a little bit more of about the certification, and especially by comparing us with other open source projects. Every open source project has a certification agreement that has to be signed by the certified person. Because at the end, I've had a very large discussion with Puppet Labs, just because I know more people there. And they gave me a number of cases where the certification agreement managed to protect them against people that was probably that were certified and they probably did not deserve certification. By the way, Puppet Labs handles examination in a completely different way with multiple choice answers, which is the typical way of handling certification. I think that multiple choice should be avoided anyway, because in a project like LibreOffice, it could be very easy to answer multiple choice questions. It's probably a lot more difficult to answer a question about how you evaluate the migration to LibreOffice of a 1,000 seat company. It's something that you cannot answer with a multiple choice. You have to give you have to give your comments. You have to show that you have a strategy in mind for this kind of tasks. It's not just telling you you replace Microsoft Office with LibreOffice and you're done. You're not done this way. You're done with a more complex process. You need communication in between. You need pilot testing. You need a lot of steps to be filled before you are able to get to the end of certificate of the migration. Then we have a code of conduct. Code of conduct is a natural document. Is what we expect from a certified person. What we expect in terms of behavior by a certified person. A long Q&A document that clarifies more or less several aspects. It's 20 pages at the moment, but it's going to grow. Because of course the idea is that during the first 6 months, we will probably be faced as reviewers with a number of questions that we have not yet thought about. And as soon as we get those questions, they will be added to the Q&A document to improve it and to make it more comprehensive. I've tried, and I've got some contribution about it, I've tried to be comprehensive, but of course it's difficult to be really totally comprehensive if you don't have if you don't go through the real process. Peer-to-peer review process. There is a description of the process. The process is 3-step. So you fill the application. The application is online. It's not yet online, but it will be online, of course, as soon as we announce the program. You fill the application. The application asks you, of course, your data, but also asks you to summarize your experience and to provide some documents. Documents that are related to your certification. So if you have migrated a large company, it will ask you either to provide the migration program, the migration flow, or any other document that allows the reviewers to understand which is the process that you have adopted. If it's a training, it asks you to provide the training materials, the training slides. Of course, it's confidential. We will not make that public to everyone, but this will allow reviewers to understand a little bit more about you. So reviewers will get these documents. These documents will be analyzed, and there will be an email that goes to the candidate and asks for clarification. It's especially in a multilingual environment as we are, there will be areas where maybe this has been written I don't know, in Dutch, and only core knows Dutch, so maybe we will ask to provide something more in English to allow other reviewers to understand more about the process. If it is in Italian, it's going to be the same. Because of course I can translate from Italian to English and core can translate from Dutch to English, but I think that we have to make the process as international as we can. So to ask people to make an effort to explain in English and to make all the reviewers aware of what he has done. Each review will be handled by 3 people, but all the documents will be available to all reviewers. Because I think this is it's kind of, let's call a group process. So if a reviewer that is not involved in the review of that candidate has a question, the reviewers will ask that question, because that is important. Because only by doing that as a real group, I think we can improve the process. Otherwise, it's going to be a 3-person process, but and doesn't reflect the fact that we are a community. And in a community, everyone can contribute, and I expect that every reviewer can contribute to the process according to his experience. So there are people more experienced in one area and people more experienced in another one. So you ask the questions, the candidate will answer, and this is the second step. And the third step is that based on the answer provided by the candidate, 10 days before the review, which will happen either face-to-face or by Skype, Hangouts, or we want to see people in the face, meaning not on the phone. We want to see the face of the guy that is going to be reviewed. 10 days before, we give him an idea of the question that he will receive during the peer-to-peer review, and we will give him a couple of tasks to fulfill for the review. The tasks can be either build 20 slides to explain how to do main merge with LibreOffice. I'm just inventing at the moment. But produce 20 original slides to explain how would you explain main merge to others. Or if it is for migration, which kind of communication strategy you would adopt in this kind of environment. Of course, we want people to show that in a limited amount of time, which reflects a real situation. Because when you have a customer that asks you for a migration project, you don't have a customer that tells you today about the migration project and then it waits 6 months. You have 10-15 days to prepare the first project. So we want to reproduce the same environment, 10 days. You send us a document, and of course we understand that it has been done in 10 days, but we want to see how you react under pressure, because this is a pressure. A migration is a work that puts you under pressure, because you have the company on one side and you have the user on the other one, and you are in between and you are pressed by both. If you are training, it's the same, because you have the guy that wants you to do the training as fast as you can. And on the other side, you have the guy that wants to learn as slow as he can, because of course he wants to understand if he cares about using LibreOffice. So we have to reproduce a little bit. Of course, it's impossible. We have to find general rules. It's impossible to reproduce every specific situation, but we try to reproduce a real situation, because then when we want to be sure that when we have certified someone, we can trust that he will perform in the best way. He will be an added value for the Document Foundation and LibreOffice. Otherwise, we don't want to give medals to people. We want to grow the ecosystem. So we want to grow a group of people that we can trust, that they can contribute, that can criticize if necessary, but we want to have a lively number of people that can help us in improving the process, making certification a better process, and we want to be proud of certification, and people should say TDF has done it in a proper way. Then we have the protocols that are a reference. Of course, the protocols can be improved. The idea is not to provide the protocols. The idea of the protocols is to provide documents that are deep enough to explain people or to show people that we have a methodology, but not deep enough to make people totally independent. Otherwise, we don't build the ecosystem. So if we allow everyone, based on the protocols, to do the migration on their own, then Lothar would never sell these services again. Or Studio Storti will not sell its services in Italy, or Core will not sell its services in Germany, in the Netherlands. We want people to understand that there is a methodology and that it makes sense to hire a certified person to implement that methodology, because it makes sense. At the end, it will be a saving of money. You will spend money, but at the end you will save money, because by putting your migration or training in the hands of someone that is knowledgeable about that, then you will be safe. And at the end, you will save money just because you will do it once, and it will be a complete project at the first shot, and not go over and over. And I'm sure that Lothar, for instance, can give you stories about projects that you have to go back and retrain people.
Tomorrow or next week.
Okay. And retrain people because they that was not done in the proper way the first time. Maybe because the company said, oh no, we don't want to spend that much time on training, so we want to limit the amount of hours for training. So if a certified trainer tells it, you need 24 hours, we want to be sure that after 24 hours, people will be trained in a proper way. And we want to be sure, we want him to be in the position of telling to the company, look, I can only guarantee that it works after that amount of training or that timing for the migration. It will not work if you want to do it in a different way. We want certification to become a kind of reference in general for people to be able to have better sales weapon for their services. And then there is a number of reference documents. The reference documents are generic, but for instance, on the website there will be all the documents published by the UK government about standardizing on ODF. Because that is, there is a standard, there is a strategy document, there is an implementation document. So this will help people. Of course, you are not supposed to take these documents and reproduce that immediately, but you can, to explain the importance of using ODF as a standard, you can, of course, it's more convincing to use the UK government documents than to use documents that are written by you. So to say a government with all its standard bodies have decided for ODF. So you can download those documents from the website, handle that to the company, use them as a reference for your documents. Of course, we will make sure that all the documents are properly licensed in a way that everyone can get the documents and use them. If they are not licensed, we will say that they are not licensed, so you can read the documents, of course, but you cannot use the documents as a reference for your documents. The website, these are this is the status. All the pages are in draft format, so if you access the website, you won't see them, but they are in the staging area of our website. I think that we will announce around mid-September, so in 10 days from the end of the conference, more or less. It's going, and the website will be populated. Of course, the bibliography is work in progress because as soon as other documents are published, we will publish them online as well. These are the reviewers. These are the people that have been involved. Of those people, 13, only Jacqueline Levy-Bourg is not in the group. All the others, the OK means that they've all been agreed about being part of this review committee, which is not a body. It's a committee just because you have to call it in a way. You can call it group or anyway. The idea is that I will coordinate the group. Of course, there is people in some areas that know more than me in about some of these or some topics. The idea is that I try to be in all review committees, in all reviews, just to provide a kind of coordination, so that the way that we review people is uniform across the entire group. Of course, this is important at first because no one of them, I've done the test of the review together with the board. No one of the reviewers has still done a test. We'll probably do that during the month of September by talking individually with all the guys, and in a way that from October 1st, when people will apply, we will be able to provide reviews in a consistent way. By the way, if I know personally, it's not significant, but I mean, I know personally all these persons, but people like Charles, Cor, Olivier, Sophie, we have, and Lothar, I think we have met for the first time 8-10 years ago, more or less. So and the new guys like Eliane, which is I mean, it's rather new. It's not totally new, but it's came into the project after Olivier. It's years they have been around. Thomas has been around for years in the German community. Stefano has been the leader of the Libre Migration. Life is the leader of the Danish community, has been active in migrations. He has migrated all the system of Copenhagen, the hospitals to LibreOffice, 25,000 seats. So he has rather good experience. So I'm pretty sure that it's going to be easy to coordinate people that have such a deep experience. Gustavo is migrating the old infrastructure of the state of Rio Grande do Sul in Brazil to LibreOffice, which means offices in different cities, in different environments. So everyone has quite a deep knowledge and a deep understanding of what we are going to review. So it's going to be easy to coordinate such a good group of people. In terms of marketing, we will have, probably by the end of October, brochures in PDF format. I would really like to avoid having them printed, but they might be printed, just because printing it's costing a huge amount of money, and then people throws away 85%, 90% of what you're printing. And I expect someone that wants to be certified to be able to read that PDF document on his screen. Otherwise, I strongly think that it should not be certified. And videos to promote certification. Of course, we have different problems, because in countries like Germany, Italy, France, in most of Europe, I would say not in Spain, but Spain, unfortunately for our community, has been an historical problem. Has been managed, let's say that the Spanish community has never been managed in a proper way. And so Spain is something that we have to face not with certification, but with growing the community first. But in all of Europe, where there have been migrations, the need for promoting the certification is not as large as it is, for instance, in the States, in the Spanish-speaking countries, where the impact of the project, and I mean OpenOffice.org before and the Document Foundation afterwards, has been deeper. So, of course, in many of the European countries, the fact that to implement or to deploy LibreOffice in your company, you have to go through a process that you need to go to do training is not a fact for everyone, but at least it's a fact for the open source environment, it's a fact for all the people that are involved in IT. In the States, people are not convinced that you can deploy LibreOffice in a company to substitute Microsoft Office, just because the situation of the community is not there, the country is too big, is fragmented, the issues are completely different. Next 6 months, we certify TDF members. Of course, in the process, we will improve the peer-to-peer review, and we will review certification training courses, because the certified TDF members is going to be a test for everyone. The application is open only to TDF members. In some cases, and exceptionally, people sitting in the review committee have the faculty of suggesting people to be certified. So, of course, if you know someone that is not a TDF member but is knowledgeable enough to be certified, I think that these people have a chance to suggest the name. The people, in any case, will have to go through the process and the same process of everyone else. So they will have to go with the application and so on. People that is not active in migration and training, they can be knowledgeable as they can, but they will have to go through the training. Training is, this of course is what we target with improving the peer-to-peer review. As any process, it has to be debugged. The three-step have to be balanced. At the moment, we figure out that the three-step have more or less the same weight, with of course the face-to-face review being the most important one. But we don't know. I mean, we will evaluate what happens when the first people will apply. We will see the skills that they have, and according to their skills, we will adapt the process. The first objective, of course, is to create a set of basic questions. The idea is not to ask the same question to the people. The idea is to evaluate them in a consistent way, so that we are sure that we ask more or less the similar questions, or we test more or less the similar skills in everyone. Of course, having a set of basic questions will help us, because you can be creative, but having at least a set that you can check out. We have asked about trainings, we have asked about communication and so on, will help the job of the reviewers. And the objective is to make the process repeatable, because if the certification is a successful project, so far we have been successful in almost everything we have done, so we hope to be as successful with the certification as in other projects. The 12 reviewers, original reviewers, will not be enough. You cannot, this is not a work, this is, there is probably going to be a coverage of the expenses by TDF, but it's not, cannot be a job. So we cannot expect people to spend all day in reviewing people. And so we want to make the process repeatable, because I think that we will have to grow the number of reviewers, and the new reviewers coming into the project will have to get a standard reference to repeat what the others have done. Otherwise, it's going to be limited. I mean, at first I will be doing all reviews for the first 6 months, then we will see. I don't know at the moment how many people will apply, so it's difficult to say. And review of certification training, because what we have decided, and this is because of the people that have asked to be certified. So I've got questions about certification from people that has never had to do with open source software. So in this case, you have two options. You tell these guys no chances of being certified if you don't know anything about open source. And the other option is to train them and see how they react. It doesn't mean that they will get certified, but we will at least give them a chance. So there will be trainings that will explain about software. We will explain about free software and so on. These are the general topic: free software, document standards, interaction with the community, how to contribute, and so on. I can tell you that in the last 6 months I've talked with a number of Italians that were in let's say, in key positions in rather large local administrations about standards documents or about standards in general. And the most knowledgeable knew zero, the less knowledgeable had a negative knowledge about that. So I'll consider RTF a standard, which is not a standard. We have heard that XLS is a standard, and funny things like that. Of course, we cannot accept at all that someone with a TDF certification is not able to sustain a discussion about standards, so about ODF, PDF, fonts that are open source, fonts that are multi-platform, which are key for interoperability. Because the problem is, the reality is that LibreOffice can only be deployed if you deploy that in an interoperable, let's call it interoperable environment. So you can deploy LibreOffice only if interoperability is guaranteed. And interoperability is guaranteed only if you know how to deploy and implement standards, standard document formats, and so on. Then for migration, about the migration protocols, best practices, and so on, there is quite a lot. We are still not defined how long the training will be, but I think it's going to be 3 to 5 days. And if people want to be certified, they will have to go over that. Of course, we will have to monitor the process and monitor for consistency and for quality. And I think that certified people, or people that are willing to be certified, the fact that they will participate in the conference in the future will be considered a plus or a need. Because being in a conference is like a crash course in community interaction. And we cannot accept the fact that people is not at ease with community. I think it's just impossible. I mean, I've seen some email of people that have answered to my reply, I don't see why I should lose my time on your mailing lists. And my answer was, sorry, but if this is your attitude, you will never be certified. Because if you think that being a member of a mailing list is a loss of time, you're just approaching the problem from the wrong side, from the wrong part. Being on the mailing list helps you in understanding the community, helps you in knowing about how to solve problems, how to interact with other people. It's a key asset. It's not a loss of time. And We have also to think about the review cycle because for certified developers you have the code, but for other people you don't have the code. So ask about what you have done in the last 6 months. Some ideas for the future. edX is an open source platform for deployment of online courses. It's totally open source. The idea is probably to use their platform because they're very popular, especially in the States. They are a project of the University of Stanford. They are very popular in the States. You can find courses of any subject on edX. There is history, economy, everything. So having a few courses there would give us some visibility, because of course we can leverage their visibility to improve our visibility. But we will be studying with our infra team the possibility of having our own instance of edX on our servers to deploy let's say, the biggest courses, and also to offer that as a service to organizations that are creating courses. We might decide, or we might try to collaborate with the Linux Foundation. Again, their certification is very similar to ours, although it's focused on the server. And we have to evaluate about third-party test providers like Linux Professional Institute. At the moment, we don't see the need of that, but in the future, it's possible. So this is the first one. If you agree, I would go through the other two that are about and then you can ask all the questions all together. It's maybe